Hello, and welcome to day 14 of the MBD Month of Mindset Challenge. Today is all about reading, and as you can see, I have my lovely fake library behind me. Reading, what's that got to do with mental health? Well, a lot of things. My background in what got me into mental health in the first place, apart from struggling with my own mental health, well, because of struggling with my own mental health really, was reading self-help books. Before I got help from anywhere else, I got help from self-help books. Well, let's call them shelf-help books, right? I would either dip into them, maybe read a bit of them, or read all of them, but ultimately do absolutely nothing with the information that I found within. And it wasn't until I twigged on something about 5 years ago about the idea that knowledge isn't power. I grew up thinking knowledge is power. I very much believed in that mantra. And it wasn't until about 5 years ago that I twigged on the idea that knowledge isn't power. Knowledge is potential power. And what we do with that knowledge is ultimately where the power lies. If I read something and go, ooh, that's nice, and I don't actually apply it anywhere, then the power of that thing dissipates and is lost. It's only in the application. So if you're going to read a full book and apply nothing, it'd probably be better to read 10% of that book and apply what you learn. This is obviously, there are exceptions to that rule. You don't want to learn about 10% about skydiving and then just go and try it or anything. But ultimately, what we apply and what we use of the knowledge we gain is where the power is. And that's just one element of books that I find extremely useful and helpful in mental health. Having that ability to see other people's perspectives or read a different way of thinking and then adapting that into our own toolkit of what we use is just going to give us more options about how we move forward. And then if we apply a little bit of critical thinking with that and we learn and figure out and reflect on the things that actually work for us, then we can learn how to put the pieces together of our own puzzle, which is just an absolutely phenomenal thing to do. But self-help isn't obviously the only thing that books are good for. Books are great for what my client Debbie refers to as a brain holiday. She's a amazing judge. She's a super intelligent woman, and she absolutely loves to read the full-on, most mind-numbing, banal fiction that she just doesn't have to engage with too much, because that actually gives her the brain holiday, the escapism from the fact that her job and her day-to-day life require her to be up here a lot, thinking an awful lot, and that type of fiction gives her a bit of an escape from that. It's something that I've employed since she told me about it, but I have this annoying ability at the minute to pick books that require, even fiction books that require me to think too much. But it's just great. It's a great way to actually unwind a really, even a trashy little novel, that type of thing where it's just, the story doesn't have to be intricately woven or even particularly exciting. It's just something just to kind of switch this brain off a little bit. And it does all that in a way that TV doesn't, because TV can be something that we can do passively, whereas reading, even with the sort of aforementioned trashy novel, is something that we can do passively. So we have to do actively. We have to engage with it and actually use a little bit more of that brain power to fully engage. It gives us that, what it does is it gives us that, it's almost mindfulness, right? It gives us that sole purpose of focusing on the text, rather than the rest of the noise that is going on in our heads. Whereas with TV, we might often find that when the TV's on, the noise in our heads is still there, and sometimes we can go to the phone at the same time and have the two screens and all the rest of it. A book offers that single source of focus. And the other thing it does, well, it breeds the imagination. It's like, you may think that, well, that's a person's words on that page and it's their imagination. But really, how many times have we watched a film after you've read the book and always thought that the book is better? It's not just that the book has longer to unfold the narrative or anything like that, but oftentimes it's down to the fact that you have created the universe that is written in those words in your head, and the director's version of those events or vision for those scenes or those people doesn't match the one that you've already created. And you'll probably find that the film adaptations of books you like the most are the ones that match your imagination the closest. But having an imagination isn't just something we have or we don't have. It is a skill that can be developed. And a book is a great way to do that because it requires us to do the work, to do the work to create the pictures, to create the visuals. And again, whereas a film, though I'm not knocking films because I absolutely love films, but a film does that for us, takes that away. And so our brain doesn't need to do that and therefore can focus on other things at the same time. A book will captivate. Takes a little bit of time to get into it, definitely does. Switching from a work day into a film can be instantaneous. You sit on the couch and the film goes on and does the work for you. Switching from a work day or time with your family into a book, you might have that sort of 10, 15, 20, even 30 minute sort of overlap period where your brain is having to kind of be switched into reading mode. But if we persevere with that, it gives us so much back in return after we have made that investment. So I'd love to know what you're reading now. I'd love to know what some of your favorites are, and just drop into the comments and let me know.